Okay, so if we get started, so tonight's webinar, welcome everybody. As you can see there, we're talking about getting started, and this is one of a series of 8 webinars that I run. I call it the Kleeneze Circle of Success, and as you might guess, as it's called Getting Started, it's the first of the 8. So today and the next one and the third one are really all about the retail side of the business. So the catalogues, the online selling, building your customer base, and the importance of that. Then there's a couple I do on team building, so getting started on team building and then supporting your team members. And then the last 3, 6, 7, and 8 are all about kind of the, I suppose I call them the less tangible skills. So it's all about personal development, setting goals, and your attitude, and how important that all is. And they're all recorded, and I basically do one every Wednesday night at about 8 o'clock, or pretty much every Wednesday. If I miss the odd one, it might take 9 or 10 weeks before I get around the whole lot. But they're all recorded, so if there's one in particular that you're interested in, like if you're really keen on doing some team building, you don't have to wait kind of 4 weeks to the next one. You can just go and watch the recording. So hopefully that's all useful for everybody. So what we're going to talk about today, we're basically talking about getting started straight away. It's one of the things that you'll hear over and over again in the trainings is about taking action. You can spend an awful lot of time reading about Kleeneze, preparing and planning and organizing and getting everything ready, but to be honest, the best way you will learn in this business is to get on and do it. So I'm going to talk a bit about your 30-day bonus, that you only get one 30-day bonus and it's in your first 30 days, so that's another reason why you should take action straight away. And I'm going to talk a bit about preparing your catalogues, a bit about planning, and then a bit about delivering and collecting your catalogues. I haven't mentioned it on here, but I am going to go over online selling, specifically Facebook, but online selling as well, and then placing an order, receiving the goods, and then delivering them to your customers. So, if you have just started, my best advice to you is to get started straight away. You can always learn how to do it better once you're up and running. And usually when people join Kleeneze, they're quite excited, they're sort of on fire. And we talk about ignorance on fire is much better than knowledge on ice. You can spend a long time reading and training and thinking about how to do it, but it's much better just to sort of get on with it. Learn a little bit and then do it, and then learn a bit more and then do a bit more. So what kind of things can you do immediately, even before your catalogues have arrived? Well, firstly, make sure that your friends and family know that you've started a new venture, because they will support you and will often order things from you as well. And even before your catalogues arrive, you can start selling products on Facebook. Now, I'm only really going to talk about Facebook today. There's lots of training outside of these webinars on Facebook particularly, but also bits on other online places to sell videos. So things like eBay and Shopify and things like that. So that website I've mentioned there, sellonfb.co.uk, is the place to start. There are, I think it's actually 4 videos now, but they're only kind of 5 minutes long. So literally half an hour, you can learn everything that you need to know about selling on Facebook. Then once you join the Facebook group, it's called Kleeneze Online Sales Tips and Hints, or might be Hints and Tips actually, then that's the place to go for lots of kind of online help and support from all the other Kleeneze distributors who have been doing lots and lots of work. So, you know, even while you're waiting for your catalogues, which will take a couple of days after you've done your registration, you can be earning money and selling products. So, what's next? When the catalogues do arrive, then the first thing to do is to prepare them. And I'll explain a little bit more about that in a moment. But also show them to local friends and family. So before you even start going out delivering them around your area, make sure that if you've got friends and family nearby, that they get a chance to have a look at them. Because, well, firstly, it's important that they know you're doing this new venture. And secondly, you will hopefully find that they're happy to order from you, and that will get you off to a good start in your first 30 days and hopefully allow you to get your first order in really quickly. So, quick question for new starters particularly. Has everyone got their catalogues? Is there anybody who started within the last day or two and hasn't yet received their catalogues? I know Barry, you joined and you received yours yesterday, I think. Anybody else really new? Charlie, hi, sorry Charlie, I'm guessing that's when you say you're really new, that means you. So, have you received your catalogues yet, Charlie? Excellent, good, good, good. So, if you've all received your catalogues, then we can move on to the next step. So, I'm going to talk a little bit about the 30-day bonus, because you only get one 30-day bonus, and it's in your first 30 days. And your goal in your first 30 days is to get 500 bonus points, which is around about £600 in orders. And to do that within your first 30 days. So a quick question for everybody. For those of you who might have already done this or have been in the business for a little while, you can tell me how you remember it at the start, whether you felt you found it hard or easy. But for those of you who have just started, how hard or easy do you think it would be to get £600 worth of orders in your first month? Any thoughts? Anybody want to share with us whether you think that's going to be hard, easy? Okay, Lucy says hard. Anyone else? Joe thought it was easy or thinks it might be easy? Yeah, not too hard. Easy from certain things. Alan? Easy just before Christmas, says Sean. Yeah, not necessarily easy, but you just have to keep going. Yeah, to be honest, you're all right. You will find some people find it easy, some people find it quite hard, and there's a lot of people in the middle. But all you can do is you can control the activities that you perform. So just to give you a rough idea, £600 in your first 30 days is about £150 a week in orders. So you have just about 4 weeks. And if you can get £150 a week in orders, then the £150 is a useful number to bear in mind, because obviously in your first few weeks you get free delivery if you can put £150 worth of orders in, and you get 50 free catalogues if you can put an order in of £150. So that's a really good goal to aim for. And what I would say is, if you're starting off with the 250 catalogues, obviously if you're starting off with a 50 catalogue kit and you're mainly aiming to do online, then the figures don't relate exactly to that. But if you've got 250 catalogues and you want to make sure you get those catalogues out at least once a week, that should take you 8 to 10 hours. Obviously it depends on the area where you live. If you're living in an area where there's lots of terraced houses, very short paths and no gates, you can whiz around 250 catalogues in sort of 2 or 3 hours. But if you've got an area with longer driveways and footpaths and gates and so on, it can take longer. And on average, and you won't get this every single order, but on average you'll start hitting towards about £1 per catalogue in orders that you put out. So if you're putting out 250 catalogues a week, then getting £150 in orders from 250 catalogues is quite feasible. If we're seeing an average of about £1 per catalogue, so £150 a week is quite feasible. If on top of that you're also doing a little bit of work promoting products through Facebook, and you're getting a few orders from your Facebook promotion as well, then obviously that will all help. So you might get £100 a week from some catalogues that you drop, and an extra sort of few orders from Facebook, and that could make up the 150. So what's the result of all of that? Well, the result, if you can hit the £150 a week, at the end of your 30 days, you'll have your first income. You'll have earned around about £100 to £150. You will have a bonus of another 250 full catalogues. If you put in 4 orders of £150 each, then the 4 orders, each order will give you an extra 50 catalogues. That would be 200, plus you get an extra 50 if you actually hit your target there. So that would be 250 full catalogues. You'll get your first lot of income, and the most important thing is you will now know an awful lot. You'll probably know 90% of what you need to know to run a successful Kleeneze business, because you've been working hard on it for your first 30 days. So let's go back a step. How do we get your catalogues ready to deliver? So I'm going to talk about the catalogues for a little while first before we talk about the Facebook and the online side. So make sure your catalogues are personalised, and what that means is on your catalogues you should put sticky labels with your name on. You should have day slips, either ones that you've printed off yourself, or you might have had some provided by your sponsor with your name and contact number on. And on the order forms, make sure you put one of your sticky labels on the order forms as well. So as your customers start to see your catalogues being delivered to them, they get to know you and recognize your name, and that's really, really important. And what I would say is when you're preparing your catalogue packs, make them all exactly the same. And a good hint, a good tip is to put one of the catalogues in upside down and back to front. And I'll explain why that can come in handy in a moment. What I normally do is say if you've got two catalogues, obviously it depends on the kit that you've started on, but normally you'd have a main catalogue and a sale catalogue, or maybe a seasonal one if you've joined near Christmas, that sort of thing. So you'll have two catalogues to put in the plastic bag. You need to put your day slip at the front of one of the catalogues, so right at the front so the customer can see it. And normally I would recommend that you leave your catalogues with your customer for 2 days. So if you were delivering, let's say, what is it today, Wednesday, then you'd put the day slip that says Friday on it, so you can collect it on the Friday. But speak to your sponsor, because some groups use slightly different systems. But the day slip at the front is really, really important, because if the customer has got to search around inside the plastic bag to work out what day you're going to come back, then I guarantee they won't, and it'll either get thrown away or it'll get put out a week later or a fortnight later, and it'll take you forever to get them back. Make sure that day slip is really, really visible. The order form obviously needs to go in there as well, and you can either put the order form right at the front just behind the day slip so that it's really visible. Now that's useful for you because as you're going back collecting the catalogues, you can then see the order forms right at the front, and if someone hasn't ordered from you, you can see immediately, and if they have ordered and put it in the same place, you can see that immediately as well, so it speeds up your collection. However, what some teams do, and this works really well as well, you can put the order form inside one of the catalogues, just so that the catalogue itself is really visible for the customer, so that when your plastic bag with your kit goes through the letterbox, whichever way it lies down, the customer can immediately see the front catalogue, the main catalogue on there, and it's not hidden behind an order form. And the other thing to bear in mind is to make sure the plastic bags are changed regularly. After they've been used 2 or 3 times and they've been put out and it might have rained on, and some customers will put them out sort of on the day that you deliver it to them, and if you're picking it up 2 or 3 days later, they can get a bit dirty and tatty. And if you start delivering catalogues in dirty and tatty plastic bags, then people are not going to be impressed. So you do need to keep them clean and change the plastic bags regularly. Okay, planning your routine and planning where you deliver your catalogues is really, really important. Now, I've said there, make a plan and stick to it. One of the challenges that I find for most new starters is, if this is the first time you've ever done something self-employed, so in the past maybe you've just been an employee and you've been told this is what time you turn up for work, when you get here we'll tell you what to do and we'll tell you what time you can go home. So you almost don't need to think about it. But when you join Kleeneze, or if you've ever been self-employed before, you are your own boss, and you decide what time you're going to start, what time you're going to finish, what breaks you will take, and so on. And it's very, very easy, if you're not used to it, to start getting into the habit of thinking, oh, well, the weather's not too good today, perhaps I'll have a cup of tea first and then pop out later on if it dries up a bit. And then a bit later on, one of your friends comes round, so I'll do the catalogues later on. And then before you know it, it's time to go and pick up little Johnny from school. And the whole day's gone just because you never really had a plan of what you were going to do. You just thought, oh, sometime today I'll put my catalogues out. So what you really need is a weekly plan that says, on Monday at 9:30, I'm going to go and put 150 catalogues out. And that's likely to take me a couple of hours. And at the beginning, it might vary a bit. You don't quite know how long it's going to take. And on Wednesday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm going to pick them up. And obviously sometimes life gets in the way and you can't follow the plan exactly. But if you've got a plan, you can adjust it. If you don't have a plan, I guarantee you won't have anything to stick to. And I'll show you in a moment some examples of a weekly plan that you can use just to give you a bit of a guide. I recommend using a 6x4 routine. What I mean by that is, when you first start off, you deliver catalogues to every different house as you're going around the different streets near where you live. And every day you go out for the first 4 weeks, you're moving on to the next streets, delivering to new houses. But then after you've been doing it for 4 weeks, you go back to the beginning again, and you deliver catalogues back to the same houses that you've delivered in the first place, so that they get to realise that you're reliable, they get to recognise your name, and you become familiar for them. So you're delivering the catalogue back to the same houses every 4 weeks, and you keep going back even if they don't order, unless they've told you that they don't want a catalogue or they've thrown it away and you don't want to waste any more with them. I always say give them 6 chances to order. So, every 4 weeks you go back. Maybe the first couple of times they'll look at it but not order. Maybe the 3rd time they won't even look at it. Maybe the 4th time they'll order from you, or the 5th time. And it's really important at the beginning, because you're trying to build up a customer base as close to you as possible. If you just give them 1 or 2 chances and then you say, oh well, they didn't order last month, so I'm not going to bother, what you'll find is that you're having to go further and further and further afield. And that might not seem too much at the beginning, but the more and more you do that, what you're finding is your customer base is further and further spread out, and you're going to be incurring lots of costs and time traveling longer distances. So that doing a lot at the beginning might seem like you're kind of going back over areas that haven't ordered much before, but you want to give everybody local to you the best possible chance to order, and give you the best chance to find your customers locally. And you're showing your customers that you're reliable and that you're going to deliver to them regularly. And that's really important. So I talked about where to deliver the catalogues and planning. So a good thing to do is just to print a street map off, or get an A to Z or something like that, and start close to home. There's really no point in driving all the way over the other side of town to deliver some catalogues. The best advice I can give you is, on the first day, go out your front door, turn left and start delivering catalogues. The next time you go out the front door and turn right. And just use a little map, highlight the areas, the roads that you've been to, and then you can see as you're gradually kind of filling out all of the roads in your area. And deliver to every house. Don't prejudge them. You never know what people's situations are and whether they're going to order from you or not. I've delivered to kind of council estates with houses with washing machines and bikes in the garden, and I'm thinking, oh crikey, I'm not going to get this catalogue back. And lo and behold, a £25 order the first time the catalogue comes back out. So let the customer decide whether they want to order or not, rather than you deciding before you even give them a chance. And do deliver to houses that have got the following signs on. You will often see signs that say no cold callers or no junk mail. And to be honest, I would say 60 to 70% of my best customers have got signs like that. It's normally elderly people that don't want people knocking on the door and pressurizing them into kind of buying this, that and the other, or electricity at cheap prices and things like that. But actually, they really love the opportunity to be able to browse through a catalogue in their own time without being rushed, and they get to know you, and they get to like you, and they get to trust you. And that's really, really important. Now, the only thing I would be careful of is if you're delivering to a block of flats, and those flats usually have letterboxes in 2 different ways. Either you can get into the flats itself, and each flat has its own letterbox in the door, which is great, carry on as normal, or there's just a single box outside the block of flats with, say, 10 letterboxes in there. And it's very tempting to think, right, this is really good, I'm going to go bump, 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 bump. You put 10 catalogues through and it takes you about 10 seconds. You think that's fantastic. Until you go and collect them, at which point you've got 4 catalogues in a pile underneath this box of letters, and you've got no idea which 4 people have put them out and which ones haven't. And you're having to knock on lots of doors and ring lots of bells and annoy people saying, sorry to trouble you, did you put your catalogue out or not? So there are ways around that. I know Elaine, when she first joined just recently, put a little sticky note on the outside of each of the plastic bags saying, flat 1, flat 2, flat 3. something like that. So then when you do get them out, if you do get a few of them back, you can see flat 3 and flat 7 have returned them, and the others are the ones that you need to chase up with. You will come across other distributors. I often get asked when I'm signing up a new person, what can I tell if there's somebody else in my area? And normally I say, chances are there will be. You know, we've been in business for 90 odd years. We've been doing catalogues for over 25 years. There are people all over the whole country. But what you will find is that the majority of distributors have been in the business for a while, and they're delivering to their regular customers. So if you see somebody else's catalogue, or you have a customer who says, oh, thanks very much, I already get a catalogue from Sue, I don't really want another one, thank you, then that's fine, just cross that house off your list and carry on. If you see somebody else's catalogues, still put one through anyway. You never know whether they're going to come back and collect that catalogue, but don't touch anybody else's catalogues. Obviously they've paid for them, they're their catalogues, so you just leave them as they are, and that distributor will come and collect them as and when they want to. It's really important to keep records as you're going round. So if you're delivering to lots and lots of houses, once you start going back for stragglers and you're trying to keep track of whether people have ordered from you or looked at the catalogue or not looked at the catalogue, you need to keep track of that. So in with your starter kit, you should have received some little books that just like little, almost like the old school books we used to get, where you can just keep a track on the left hand side, write down the house number, 13579, and then just beside it, whether they ordered from you, whether they looked at it or not, and by keeping that record, you will then know which one to go back to, and you'll start to build up your history of who's ordering from you regularly and who isn't. And just the usual kind of polite stuff: close gates behind you. Walk on their footpaths, don't walk across their gardens, just the usual stuff that you would treat people as you would want them to treat you. And talk to people that you come across, just a welcome smile, hi, I'm just dropping the Kleeneze catalogue in, and you'd be amazed that just a little smile and a friendly word will start building that rapport with your customers very easily. So, a couple of days later, you're going back to collect the catalogue, so don't forget to take with you your round book. That's the book where you wrote down the list of all of the houses that you delivered to. You might think you can remember them all, but believe me, after you've been doing it for a few days and you've got a few stragglers and you're doing some different streets, and some people said they didn't want one, and some people said, oh, could I keep it an extra day or two? You do need to keep records. Make sure you take with you your thank you slips, so that if somebody does order from you, pop a little slip through just saying thank you very, very much for your order. Sometimes on the slips, depending on which slip you've got, it indicates when you're going to deliver their order to them. And if you just started, you probably don't know yet. So normally I would just say, just put on there, in about a week. And that kind of gives you, it's a reasonable amount of time to get your order sorted out, because at this stage you might not be sure when you're going to be putting your first order in. But also don't forget to take this sorry I missed you slips, because if the catalogue isn't there, then you will need to knock on the door to try and get it back. And then if there isn't anybody in when you do that, you pop a little slip through. 9 times out of 10, the person in the house comes back from their shopping or from work. They say, oh, crikey, I forgot to put Chris's catalogue out, and they put it out there, and then you can pick it up that evening or the following day. So as you're going round, make sure you update your notes. Did you get the catalogue back from them? Did they order from them? Now, one important note here: when you are picking your catalogues up, a lot of new starters, it's very tempting to say, I'm going to whiz round as quick as I can, pick all the catalogues up, throw them into the trolley, bang, 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 and then I'll just sort them all out and check out if I've got any orders when I got back. I guarantee if you do that, one of the orders that you get will look fantastic. It will be all filled in. There'll be sort of half a dozen items, about £45 worth, and they'll have forgotten to put their name and address in the bit at the top. And that is so heartbreaking, because you're thinking, which house was this? You might have a rough idea that it was kind of in the middle of your pile, so it's probably on that street somewhere. But believe me, it is far, far better just to check them on the doorstep, a quick look, there's no order in there, there's no order in there, here's an order and they've written their name. If there is a one with an order and they haven't written their name on, all you need to do is just make a note of the house number and the address. Obviously you won't know their name or their telephone number, but at least you know which house to go back with your order. And make a note of if they looked at it. Now you might ask, how do you know whether they've looked at the catalogue? And this was why I said right at the beginning, put one of the catalogues in upside down and back to front. Because what you'll find is, if people open everything out, sometimes it's obvious that they've looked at it because everything's back in higgledy-piggledy. But sometimes they try and be helpful and they put all the catalogues back in the order that they were in the first place, put the order form in the right place. But just out of habit, they will put the catalogues in sort of all facing the same direction. So if you normally put one in upside down and back to front, you'll be able to spot that they've looked at it. And that's useful information to have when you're thinking about, shall I continue delivering to this person? Because if you know that they're looking at it regularly, then there's a good chance they are going to order from you. If there isn't a catalogue when you go back to collect it, knock on the door. And normally I just sort of say, hi there, can I just check if you finished with the Kleeneze catalogue I dropped in a couple of days ago? And as I say, 9 times out of 10, it's right by the front door, and they just say, oh, sorry, forgot to put it out, and hand it to you. Sometimes they might say, oh, I haven't had a chance to have a look yet, in which case I always say, that's fine, would you like to keep it? And I can pick it up in a day or two. Because what they're saying to you, if they say, I haven't had time to look, they're saying is, I wanted to look, and chances are they will give you an order. And I find that 9 times out of 10, if I say, oh, that's fine, I'll collect it in a couple of days, when I do go back and collect it, they give you an order. Because they appreciate that you've taken the trouble to go back to them, and that you've given them the opportunity to keep it for a little bit longer. And if there's nobody in when you knock on the door, just drop in one of the sorry I missed you slips, and then go back the next day. And you will often find sometimes you have to go back 2 or 3 or 4 times. Every time you go back, make sure you knock on the door and pop a missed you slip in. You will lose catalogues, and that's why, as part of the 30-day challenge, you get free ones whenever you put in your orders. So don't panic and think you have to get every single catalogue back. Obviously, the more you get back, the better for you. But if you never know, if a house might be empty, or someone might have thrown it away, and you might never get that one back. So don't panic if that happens. Okay, so that's all the catalogue side. Facebook selling, I'm really just going to go over this at a very high level, because the online group that I mentioned and the sellonfb.co.uk website with the videos goes through this and shows you in detail exactly what to do. But basically, the way you do Facebook selling is you join local groups, and the best number to join seems to be about 30 to 60. Less than 30, people don't get as many orders. More than 60, you're probably spending a lot of time in and out all different groups, and you really the more local to you the groups are, the better, because then people can come and collect from you, which is fantastic, because that just saves a lot of your time. You should also be creating your own group. Now this is what you're trying to do here, is build up like a customer base, people who are happy to order from you, who've ordered from you before, and you can, by creating your own group and posting your own things in there, that's like a dedicated audience. So to start off, create your own group, post products in your own group. So make sure you've got at least 10 or a dozen products in there before you start adding people to that group. You don't want an empty group and then add people, because they're just going to think, oh, there's nothing in here, and they'll probably leave. Also, promote products from both sets of catalogues. The K-Life products are obviously selling well, but don't forget, with the Kleeneze catalogues, you get twice as much commission, so you should really be promoting both of those as well. And every day, if you can, in each group that you're a member of, post 1 or 2 new products, bump 1 or 2 of your existing products up again. And what you find with Facebook selling, and to be honest, this is the same as with catalogue selling as well, there will be people that will buy from you straight away, and there will be people that will buy from you after they've seen you for a while. We all talk about, if you see an advert on TV, you might kind of vaguely recognize it. Once you've seen an advert 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 times, that familiarity means that you're much more likely to buy in future. So just because something isn't selling, don't stop bumping it, because people might need to see it a few times, and once they've seen it a few times, you never know when their circumstances will suddenly mean one of those would come in really handy. So keep doing all of that, And also, when you put your post up with your advertising of product, make sure you've got in there an invitation to join your group. Normally you would say something along the lines of, to see the rest of our bargains and special offers, join, and then put in a link for your group. And it's really, really important to build relationships with people. I've got a little story about my group. I've got a customer, a lady called Libby, who she was a customer from our catalogues. She's a young mum and she's got twins. And when I was promoting in my group, I invited Libby to join the group, and she was happy to join. And she was really keen on the personalised cushion covers, the baby cushion covers. She's got a boy and a girl, Oscar and Elsa. So she said, "Oh, Chris, can I have a blue and a pink, please?" And I said to Libby, "Oh yeah, that's fine. Just send me the details, date of birth, their weight, and so on, and I'll get those all ordered for you." And she sent the details over, and the dates of birth were different. And I thought, "Oh, this is odd. They're twins." She's probably just made a typing mistake. And I asked her, I said, "Libby, is this right? You've got the birth dates different." And she said, "Yeah, that's right. They were born either side of midnight. So one of the twins is born on the 14th of February, one of the twins is born on the 15th of February. And I thought, what an unusual idea. And I said to Libby, "Libby, do you mind if I put a little photo up about this? Because I think that's a great story." And I actually sold an awful lot of these cushion covers on the back of that little story, just because of that relationship that I'd built with Libby. And you're always looking for people that have got little unusual stories about products, because that creates a bit of a relationship and a story going on within the group. And obviously a number of Libby's friends were in the group anyway, so they were able to sort of have a little bit of chat with Libby about it all within the group. And that's just creating lots of kind of good conversations within your group, and that's exactly what you want. Okay, so you're now ready to place your order. You've done your catalogues, you've done some Facebook advertising, you've got some orders. Now we're ready to place the first one. So you need to log on to your account on kleeneze.co.uk, and you should hopefully remember the password that you've created. When you first signed up, as part of the registration process, you'll have been asked to create a password. And if you forget it, don't worry, you can get it reset. But hopefully, if you remember what your password was, then you can log in, and I'm sure your sponsor will guide you through this. And don't forget, as you're entering order items onto the system, if you get halfway through and you need to stop, don't panic it. You won't lose what you've entered. Any partial orders that you put in there are remembered. You just log off, log back in the next day when you're ready to finish your order, and you can just carry on adding the rest of the items to it then. It's useful to know the delivery cut-off time. I always say for everybody to think about 3 o'clock as being the cut-off. It's actually 3:15, but you don't want to be kind of leaving it too late. And that cut-off determines when your product gets delivered to you. So if you put your order in by 3:15 on a Monday, it should be delivered to you on the Wednesday. If you leave it until 3:30 or 4 o'clock, it'll be the Thursday before it comes to you. So there's an extra day just by kind of putting it in after 3 o'clock as opposed to before. So bear that in mind. And then hopefully a couple of days later you should receive your goods. As you can see them there, lots of boxes and blue bags with the larger sort of brooms and brushes and things in. So your first job is to unpack those boxes and then sort them out into your customers' orders. Obviously, when you enter those details onto the ordering system, head office don't know that Mrs. Johnson ordered one of these and Mr. Graham ordered one of those. That's your job to sort all those out. And normally what I do is I take the blue receipt that the customer, the blue part of the order form that the customer wrote the order on, and I then staple that to the carrier bags and I put the customer's goods in that. And that does two things. One is it helps me, if I've got in the back of my car, I've got sort of 10 or 15 or 20 carrier bags with all my different customers' goods in. It makes it easier to find the one for a particular customer. And secondly, when I'm handing it to my customer, I can just highlight the receipt and say, look, there's my order details, there's your ordered receipt, there's my telephone number on there. If you've got any queries or there's anything you're not happy with, just give me a call. I'm happy to replace or refund anything that you're not happy with. As I said there, I usually actually use the boxes, so the large boxes that they came in, you can see some in the picture there. I use those to put in, maybe 10 or 15 carrier bags with all the different orders. And I just use the pink receipt because most of my customers give me both bits of the order form back. I use the pink bits as my checklist as I'm driving around, so I know which one's next. And as I say, the blue ones that I give back to my customers. Facebook buyers will often collect from you, so that's fantastic, and that just that's why those 30 to 60 groups that you join, if you can get them as close to you as possible, then you're really doing two things. One is you're obviously building up a customer base local to you, which is fantastic, and secondly, if they're going to come and collect from you as well, that's even better because it just saves you time and money. But when you're delivering them, and most of your catalogue customers you'll be delivering to, I always recommend, if possible, give them a quick call first. If they've written their telephone number on the order form, then give them a call. Most of my customers really give me good feedback and say they really appreciate the fact that I just give them a couple of minutes notice, because I just call one as I've delivered one order. I call the next one up and say, right, is it okay to pop round? I'm just on my way now. Firstly, if they're not in, saves me a journey. Secondly, if it's not convenient for them, again, it saves me a journey, saves me upsetting them. And thirdly, they say it just gives them a couple of minutes to get their purse or their checkbook ready, so that when I do knock on their door, they're not kind of flustered looking around for something. And secondly, I'm not wasting time waiting for them to get their kind of money together. So it just helps everybody doing that. Your customers can pay with cash, checks or card. And I would say if it's a new customer who you've got through Facebook, you should probably ask for a cash or a card, because obviously if they pay by check and the check bounces, you might have no idea where they live, other than the fact that they were in such and such a group. Whereas cash and card, obviously you'll be able to do that without any worry. To be honest, if I'm delivering an order to a customer and they want to pay by check, I say yeah, that's no problem at all, because obviously I know where they live, so that's rarely a problem. And as I said earlier, I just highlight my details on the blue receipt that I'm giving it to them, and just say, if you've got any problems at all, please give me a call. I'm happy to give you a refund or replace anything that you're not happy with for any reason. Whew, okay guys, that was 35 minutes. So quick test now to see who's been awake and who's dozed off. Can you remember when I was talking about delivering the catalogues, how many weeks would it be before you go back to delivering the catalogues back to the same house? Oh, Hayley said 4, Sean said 4 to 5, lots of 4s, 4 to 5, 4, 4, 4, 6, says Barry, 4, yep. I normally recommend 4 weeks. That's what we were taught, and that seems to work well. If you leave it kind of 5, 6, 7 weeks, then there's quite a big gap, and people won't get to recognise your name. So 4 weeks is normally what we recommend. When I was talking about joining local groups, how many local groups did I recommend? Yeah, good, Charlie. Yeah, Alan 30 to 60. Yeah, Lane 30. Yeah, everyone's been listening. Oh, guys, you're so good. You're also awake. Yes, 30 to 60 is what I recommended for that. And how much in orders should you aim to get in your first 30 days? Can you remember to get your 30-day bonus? £600, Charlie. Yeah, Leslie. Yeah, Leslie. Oh gosh, lots and lots of people there. 500 points, Tony. Yeah, that's 500 bonus points, which is about £600 worth in orders. Yes, thank you very much. So, Michael, you said sunny Ringwood. You must have been in a different Ringwood to me. It's been cloudy in my bit of Ringwood. Yes, aim to get £600 worth of orders, which is about 500 bonus points, and then you get the extra 50 catalogues as a result of doing that. For those of you aiming to deliver catalogues, and I know some of you might have joined just to do the Facebook side, but if you are doing catalogues, anybody got an idea of how many catalogues a week you're planning to deliver? Especially the new guys who are on now, or if you're fairly new, how many catalogues a week are you currently delivering? Anybody got any thoughts? 70 odd from Hayley. I'm guessing that's a customer base, Hayley. Davina 250. Yeah, Lucy 200 a week. Good. Thanks, Hayley. Yep, 200, 240, 50, 250. Good. Okay. I would say if you've got time and you're looking to build your business quickly, if you've started off with 250 catalogues, aim to get them out at least once a week. So if you can get 250 out, that's great. If you've got time, try and get them out twice a week, because then obviously you've got twice as much time to hit your 30-day challenge, and you'll be finding your customers more quickly. But obviously people are fitting this around other commitments and so on, and you should be hopefully able to spend 10 to 12 hours a week minimum on your Kleeneze business, and that should be enough to get 250 catalogues a week out. Okay, this is what we've been over in the last 40 minutes. The really important bit of getting started as soon as possible. Your 30-day bonus, the clock starts ticking the minute you complete your registration. It's not when your catalogues arrive, it's not when your Facebook account is set up, it's when you sign up. So your 30 days is ticking straight away. So the sooner you take action, the better. We covered all about getting the catalogues ready. We briefly covered the Facebook selling. There's a lot more good stuff on Facebook selling on those 2 resources that I mentioned earlier. And then placing orders, receiving the goods, and then delivering those orders back to your customers. Whew. Take a breath now. Okay, so this was number 1, getting started. Next one, now I'm not sure, I've got some training that I'm going to be up in Birmingham next week, so I might not be able to run number 2 next week. I might skip a week, but I'll have a better idea in a few days. So next week we're covering your first 4 weeks. So just expanding a little bit on what you've done so far and what other things you should think about doing within your first few weeks in the business. And I mentioned earlier that these are all being recorded. So I'm just going to stop the recording now.